On Wednesday, we started our Lenten journey, 40 days to Easter. And I bet you made some Lenten resolution. Now, every now and then people say, well, don't give up something, do something in addition. You can do something in addition, but we also have to give up something. It's not either or, we do both. We do both. We give up something, but you also pick up something to do in addition. If you have made a resolution as to what to give up or what to do in addition, I bet within this phase, or these few days, you've already faced temptation. Temptation is part of our human life. Temptation is not necessarily a sin. It is an opportunity to choose whether you want to be with God or we want to be with Satan or the world. Temptation is not sin necessarily. It gives us opportunity to choose whether we want to be with God or you want to be with the world. Today is like a temptation Sunday. Jesus is being tempted. You're going to be tempted. If Jesus was tempted, I'm going to be tempted. Everyone passes through temptation. You can't avoid it. There's a joke about temptation. I've told you about this before. In a certain Catholic neighborhood, everybody in this street were all Catholics. So they made a resolution, we're not going to eat meat during Lent. So this new guy moved into the neighborhood, and every Friday when you're not supposed to eat meat, he brought out his grill, put right in front of his house, and just pump up the grill, put different flavors of meat, and poured onions and tomatoes and everything. The smell filled the entire neighborhood. After people tried it for some time, wanted to give up meat, and smelling this nice aroma, they came to him and said, we Catholics, we're all Catholics in this neighborhood, we're not supposed to be eating meat. What are you doing? He said, what am I supposed to do? So they invited him to the church. And when he went to the church, the priest brought holy water and put upon him and said, you were born a pagan. You became a Protestant. I baptize you. From today, you are Catholic. He went home. Father, can I take some holy water? Yeah. He took some holy water home. On Good Friday of all days, he came out, filet mignon, T-bone steak, name it, poured onions, and the whole thing, aroma carried the entire neighborhood. People came and said, you know what, now you're Catholic, you're not supposed to do this. He went into the house and brought the holy water he got from the church, sprinkled on the meats. You were born a beef, you were born a cow, you became a beef. I baptized you, you are fish. Don't do that. That's not how to overcome temptation, okay? Jesus shows us the way to overcome temptation. But let me give you a little background. The background is that the children of Israel were called by God to leave slavery in Egypt and go to the promised land. They journeyed for 40 years from slavery to the promised land. The key thing they had to do at the promised land was to have a place they would be able to offer the lamb, the Passover, to God and celebrate their common nationality together under God. That was very important for them. On the way, they faced a lot of temptation. Now, I love how the first reading puts it, and also St. Peter talks about it in the second reading. They had to pass through the water. The similar water was the water in the Ark of Noah that the boat came. I always talk about it. Boat represent the church. The Ark of Noah came upon the water. The same thing happens in our journey, because we are right now in a journey from spiritual Egypt into the promised land. And when we come, we pass through water as well. You're going to see the water fountain in the entrance of the church. That represents the water that the children of Israel passed through before they got to the promised land. It represents the water that the Ark of Noah floated to bring people to safety. We're leaving spiritual Egypt. Where is spiritual Egypt? The world. The world. Egypt put the children of God into slavery, and the world is constantly trying to put God's children into slavery. You know that. They're going to use so many means. When I had a retreat with the staff the other week, they're talking about different things of temptation. One of them, my cell phone, my iPad, my television, all the things on the internet. They're going to distract us from God and from one another. We can put it aside. That is just a minor one. But another one, the world that calls everything that is good, they call it evil. And everything that is evil, they call it good. Have you noticed that? Talk about it in marriage. A new definition according to the world. And there you talk about it, you are the problem. The world that does not see human life as human life again, you talk about it. Whatever is bad in it, they call good. Whatever is good in it, they call bad. Human life in the womb and human life when the person grows up. It just happened in Florida last week. Did you hear what happened in Florida? 17 innocent children were shot dead. America is the greatest country in the world that I know. America does so many wonderful things all over the world. But guess what also? There is no country of the whole world that has killed more children in high school than America. Did you know that? And if you want to talk about what can help to stop that stuff, people don't want to hear that. I mean, right now, I bet there may be some people here who are really thinking right now, don't even go there. That is the world that cannot speak the truth, cannot speak the truth to power, cannot speak the truth to evil, cannot condemn what is evil, and cannot justify what is right. And our hearts are constantly tempted to be like the world, like the children of Israel who said, we just want to be like other people. We just want to be like the rest of the world. Are we tempted to be like the rest of the world? Well, I don't want to wear my religion on my sleeves. I just put it, I hide my religion. We cannot hide our religion anymore when it comes to evil and good. Evil in marriage. We want to redefine it away from what God said. Evil in human life in the womb. Human life when they are growing old. We need to respect what God says. And the world put different things in our mind, and the world cut us into different parties and to different groups, so we start fighting with one another, against one another. That's what the world wants. That's what Satan wants. And whenever we try to be good, there is temptation to be like the world. That is why our parish chose, at this Lenten season, our theme, to imitate Jesus in prayer and service. To imitate Jesus in prayer and service. And that is why the church offers us a season of Lent, 40 days, similar to the 40 years that the children of Israel journeyed from slavery to the promised land. So that within these 40 days, we come in from this world, the spiritual Egypt, and come into the new promised land, that is the church. Interestingly, before we come to the promised land, we dip our hands there in the waters of baptism. St. Peter said it in the second reading today. That water, similar to what Noah used the boat, the church, to drag people away from slavery of Egypt into the new salvation of God, we put our hands in there and remind God, wash me against the impurity of the world. Put my mind pure, so like Jesus, I can be in front of you and worship you and pray to you, and then you will inspire my heart to turn around and serve my brothers and sisters, those who don't have the material things that I have. Because when I look at how many things I have, some of them I don't really need. The same thing is applicable to you. Those who need forgiveness, those who need kindness, those who need reconciliation, those who need for me to go and tell him or her, I have really offended you and I touched my heart. This is the time. But the world doesn't want us to do that. The world wants us to hold on to our power, hold on to the fact that we are right, even when we know we are wrong. That's the world in which we live. And Jesus came to show us the example of what life on earth is going to be, of how the journey from slavery to promised land is going to be. You're going to be tempted. Something's going to drag you behind. You're going to know the truth, but something's going to drag you to keep on doing what is wrong. And so, Gospel tells us, Jesus was led by the Spirit into the desert. You know what the desert is? A place where I give up all the many things of life and I only concentrate on what is important. That is what Lent is, to give up all the distractions and concentrate on only what is important, what is necessary for life, what is necessary for my family, what is necessary for my faith. I give up all other things to concentrate on what is necessary and going to make me live a good life as a son and as a daughter of God. That's what the desert is. That's what the Lenten season is. Interestingly, like the children of Israel of 40 years, or Jesus who fasted for 40 days, so we carry on within the Lenten season for 40 days to leave the distraction alone and concentrate on what is important. And brothers and sisters, even within that time, there is still temptation. I listened to Bishop Barron Bishop Barron talked about it this way. Of course, from the gospel, it says Jesus was led into the desert. He was in the midst of wild beasts, and angels ministered to him. He talked about it within the material and the spiritual. Material and the spiritual. Wild beasts. Human beings, we are the highest of all that God created. Animals we are, but rational animal, spiritual animal. That is why when God put all the animals in the boat, in the ark of Noah, he also put the highest of all he has made, human beings, so that we will represent God and glorify him in all that he has done. But now, some of the material things can also be our temptation. Food, excessive indulgence in what we like and things that give us pleasure. That is why the first temptation of Jesus was about how to overcome human tendency and human pleasure. Did you hear the first temptation? You can read in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 3. If you are the Son of God, change this stone into bread and eat it. Why? Food is what we enjoy. Desire of the flesh. Things that I know are not wrong, are wrong, but yet my body drags me into them. St. Paul says, the good things I want to do, I find it difficult to do them. The bad things I should not do, I find myself being drawn into it. Concupiscence, that's what it is. You know how we overcome them? Fasting, giving up. So when somebody says, don't give up something, don't listen. Don't listen. We give up something. We detach from what we have done. We detach from what we love. Food, excessive drink, whatever thing gives us so much enjoyment and distraction. This is a time to detach from those things. And when we detach, what we do, we bring the flesh and bring it to subjection to God's will. That's what Jesus did. Man is not going to live by bread alone. We're not going to live by things that give us pleasure alone. We're going to live by the word that comes from the mouth of God. See, that is why at the time of prayer, reading the Bible, picking up maybe Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, read one chapter every single day. That is why we come to Mass every single Sunday. And some weekdays you add one more Mass to come, even if you are busy. That is why we're going to have Stations of the Cross. That is why we're going to have a time to pray the Rosary. We make time for prayer. We put so many prayers in the pews so we can come in and find some time to spend time with the Lord and imitate Jesus in his prayer to God the Father. That the flesh should not take over me. When the flesh takes over me, we're going to be like the people of the world. Call good things bad and call bad things good. And then there was another temptation. Jump from that high. Why? So that people will praise you. Or look at all these things, bow down and worship me. So the other two temptations have to do with the spiritual. The first one is the human possibility and tendency. It was in the midst of wild beasts, created things. The second temptation, angels ministered to him. So we are in the middle. Either temptation to become just ordinary, or the temptation to think that we are God. We make ourselves so much like God. Have you seen people who make themselves God? Husbands and wives and parents and children and relatives. Have you seen people in the church, in the community, in the family who think they are God? They see no wrong with what they have done. Even if you kill them, they kill somebody, they try to justify it. They see nothing wrong with what they have done. I make my laws. I make my regulations. That's what I'm going to follow. Have you seen people like that? We've talked about it before. Through excessive attachment to pleasure, excessive attachment to power and praise. PPP, power, pleasure, praise. That's how we talk about it the other time, last year. But this year, Robert Barron gave me a new way to talk about it. Attachment to the material things, or trying to think that we are God. That's why this season of Lent is 40 days of journeying through spiritual Egypt, the world, into the promised land, which is the church, in anticipation of eternal promised land in heaven. And we cleanse ourselves by the waters of baptism every single time we come and said, God, clean me. The world has polluted me so much, has polluted my family, has polluted my friends. The world has polluted the people that I know. Sometimes the world even wants to pollute the church. Cleanse us from all iniquities, so that through prayer, intense fasting and almsgiving, we can look the devil into the eye and say, you are a liar. I will follow God, not you. I will call what is wrong, wrong, and what is evil, and what is good. Therefore, we imitate Jesus in his prayer. And so we can turn around and imitate him in service to one another as we walk this walk from this spiritual slavery, the world, to the eternal promised land in heaven.